Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Getting It Wrong podcast. As you know, I
Welcome
am
back.
Morgan.
And I'm Gabrielle.
Yes, and we're happy to be back for another episode of season 4. I may or may not end up cutting it out, but last episode I I said it was season 3. I don't think we realized that, but it is actually season 4.
We did not realize that it was season 4 instead of season 3. But when you said welcome back at the beginning of the episode, do you remember? Did your parents ever listen to a radio show? Was it Ricky Smiley? Anyway, at the beginning they say,
Yes.
welcome back, welcome back.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a unique experience. We've all experienced this, right?
Yeah. I feel like
Okay.
that. Yeah, girl.
Okay.
But yes, I'm excited to jump into our episode. But before we do, how's your week been? How are you doing?
My week has been pretty good. I feel like I went through a spell of not being able to sleep. That was weird. But I'm back on my schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and I had this thought recently. I don't want to make it seem like it came out of thin air because it didn't. It was
Mm-hmm.
a Instagram story, I believe, that talked about the fear of being perceived and how
Mm-hmm.
if you're posting content or something and you're not really popping off like you want to, it's because you fear being judged or perceived by other people, and it holds you back from being who you really are, which is what people connect with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I really want to work on with this podcast because I feel like in my youth,
Yeah.
not even in my youth, like just previously, maybe it was before I had Mia, that is something
Mm-hmm.
that I never really struggled with. I was always myself no matter what. And I think that's what people
Mm-hmm.
loved about me or hated about me. Love me or hate me. Um,
No, no, you're so right. I feel like you've always been absolutely okay with being yourself. Me, on the other hand, I deal with social anxiety real bad. So to this day, I still have like a deep fear of being perceived. I never post on social media. I'm always ducked off. But so if anybody can relate, I can definitely relate.
and that's something that I think this podcast will help with. We're going to work on being
Yeah,
our authentic selves no matter what. And you either love us or you hate us.
exactly.
Awesome. Well, how has your week been?
My week has been, it's been, there have been
It's
better weeks,
been.
but there have definitely been worse weeks. Um, Honestly, I feel like it sounds weird, but I've been dealing with like, have you ever heard people talking about like as the firstborn daughter in a minority family, especially like a black family, you have the weight on you of breaking generational curses? And like, I
Yeah.
just, it's like, yeah, it's like a firstborn daughter thing. It's like you have this weight to like break the generational curses. And I've been feeling that this week more than most weeks. Mine has been like dealing with like the, what's the best way to put it? Just like dealing with like how I notice things with like my parents and how they deal with like their emotional trauma, and how I just want to make sure I am changing that so that I'm not passing that on to my daughter. And I've been like paying more attention to that this week. So
Yeah. No, that's deep. I
yeah.
definitely feel that as a firstborn daughter. And I think it's
Hmm.
also like a first gen immigrant type thing too.
Yeah.
Um, it's like we are experiencing so many things differently than what our parents did. I don't know if
Hmm.
it's like a specific, if it's a racial thing, a generational thing. I don't
Girl.
know, but it's difficult doing things differently than what you were raised to do
Hmm.
because it's not necessarily the healthiest. You weren't necessarily raised the healthiest way. A lot of the times, our parents did things
Yeah.
for survival, and now that
Hmm.
we are out of that survival mode, I
Hmm.
mean, I don't know. The way the economy is, a lot of people are probably still in survival mode.
For
But
real.
still having that knowledge, you still have to do your best to do things better than the
Hmm.
generation did before you. And that's a lot of
Exactly.
pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. And no shade to like, like the generation before us, because I know they had their things that they had to deal with. They had the, glass ceilings they had to break, but it just continues. The goal is to continue to get better. I hope that by me walking, my daughter can, or me, how does it go? Like they
You're
crawl
walking
so
so
I
she
can
can
walk.
run.
That's what it
Yes.
is. That's what it is.
No, the previous
I'm trying to
generation
walk.
crawled
They
so you
definitely
could
was
walk.
crawling.
They
So,
crawled so you could walk, and you're walking so she can run.
mhm,
I
precisely.
love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes, ma'am. But yes, moving on. Gabby, why don't you introduce us to our topic for today?
Okay, so speaking of running, we're going to be talking about weight loss.
Okay.
You see how I tried to do the segue?
Uh,
It didn't really
I
say
like
how I
that.
thought it was going to,
It,
but close enough.
I like it. I like it.
Thank you. But specifically about weight loss, we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting. Is that
Mhm.
something that you have heard of or are familiar with?
Yes, I've heard of it. I'm familiar with it. I've tried it, not always
Okay.
successfully. So I am definitely interested in hearing what take you have on it.
Okay. But before I get into it, I
Mhm.
do want to say that we are not doctors. So you
Mm-mm.
need to consult with the doctor first before you decide to go all in with intermittent fasting. I don't want to get any messages or any doctor messages.
For real.
Hey, you told me to do intermittent fasting, and now all I hear fell out. See, you should have talked to your doctor
No, for real.
But first, I want to tell you guys what intermittent fasting actually is. And it's an eating pattern. There are different cycles for intermittent fasting. The most popular one is probably the 16-8, which is a 16-hour fasting window and an 8-hour eating window. There's also an 18-6, so 18-hour fast, 6-hour eating window. People also do a 24-hour fast, which is
Ooh.
exactly. So it's like 24 hours and then eating and then not eating for another 24 hours. There's also a 36-hour fast. You can do the research and figure out which one you would like to try. You could try all of them. It's up to you. But I want to
Mhm.
share with you all my journey with intermittent fasting.
Okay.
So I've been doing intermittent fasting seriously, since the top of this year, January 1st. This is not the first time I've done intermittent fasting. I think I did it some years ago. I can't remember the exact time, but I was definitely in my younger 20s, and it was so
Mhm.
easy for me to just jump right into it. Just do the
Girl, I
16-8.
bet.
Yeah, it's like it's just doing my thing. I'm a young girl, fast for 16 hours. Who cares?
Mhm.
But now that I'm doing it now that I've turned 30, it 16-hour fast just didn't seem like something I could just jump right into. So I started off doing 12 hours,
Okay.
which was super easy. I jumped into that pretty quickly. 12 hours, no eating, no big deal. Then I took a step forward to 14 hours.
Mhm.
That was difficult. You don't think, I didn't think it was going to be as difficult as it was, because I was
Yeah.
like, two more hours. What's the big deal, right?
Oh, we are back. We're back on Zoom. We were first using StreamYard, but we were having connection issues. So we switched to Zoom and things seem to be working
Mhm.
okay at the moment. So we are going to keep it pushing
We're gonna rock with it.
and we're going to rock with it. So I wanted to share with you all my story with intermittent fasting.
Mhm.
I started seriously intermittent fasting starting January 1st this year, 2024. This is
Mhm.
not my first time doing intermittent fasting. My first time was when I was younger, in my early 20s. jumping into a 16/8 fast was not a big deal. I just jumped right in it, did what I needed to do, was seeing weight loss. It was no big deal. But now that I am 30, things are a little bit different. I have way more responsibility.
Mhm.
So I started off with 12 hours because that seemed doable in my mind. It's like you have to trick yourself into getting started, you know?
Yeah,
Because
for real.
if I was to be like it's 16/8 or nothing, I probably would have started and failed.
That's valid.
So I started with 12 hours, super easy. You sleep most
Hmm.
of those hours anyway.
Hmm.
So after a week of 12-hour fasting, I moved it up to 14 hours. And that's when it got difficult. I didn't think it was
Mm.
going to be as difficult as it was, but I know that I'm kind of an emotional eater. So when I was restricting my eating window and my body wasn't getting that food, that dopamine hit at certain times, it made me so
Mm.
irritable and so angry.
Okay.
And so I was short tempered. I almost couldn't take it because it was
Mm.
affecting all areas of my life. It was affecting my energy and attitude at work. It was affecting my
Mm.
energy and attitude with my child. That was difficult. But what kept me going was knowing that it was only temporary. I knew that this phase that I was going through was going to pass. It only lasted for about 3 or 4 days, which thank you, Jesus, because I don't know if I would have made it past past that.
So it was like the
It
moodiness lasted that
it was
long.
moodiness. It was almost like a
Okay.
depression. It was
Mm.
almost like a depression. It's like I would wake up and feel a dark cloud over my head. Like visually, emotionally, like that's exactly how it felt. Like waking up and having like a dark cloud with like rain
Hmm.
pouring onto you every day, all day.
Girl,
It
what
was
made you keep doing it?
because I knew it was only temporary. And the reason
Okay.
I started this year was for weight loss.
Hmm. Okay.
So that was my why. Just knowing my why is what kept me going because the weight was creeping up and I needed to do something quick. And I knew
Mm.
that intermittent fasting had worked for me in the past. So I was like, I need to do something. Let's
You're
get the
like, let me
ball rolling.
get this, get a hold of this. I gotta get
Exactly.
ahead of it. Okay.
And I'm so
Yeah.
glad that I kept going because after about those few days of
Hmm.
the moodiness and the depression, it wore off. It actually gave me mental clarity. Like I was waking up feeling great. I was waking up
Wow.
feeling clear-headed. I was
Hmm.
waking up feeling like lighter. Like you're
Hmm.
during your intermittent fasting, while you're fasting, it's like your body is getting rid of all of the toxins and
Hmm.
the chemicals and all those things. So of course, if
Yeah.
you're used to ingesting those things, you're not gonna feel good when your body is getting rid
It's
of
like
it.
withdrawals almost.
Exactly. That's
Hmm.
exactly what it felt like.
Mm.
So, like I said, I was feeling clear-headed, but not only that, I was starting to lose weight. And I was starting to
Yeah.
lose it just as quickly as I was gaining it, which was the goal.
Hmm.
So, when I say I started intermittent fasting at January 1st. Today is March 7th, and
Hmm.
I've lost 10 pounds.
Come on. No, that's an accomplishment though.
That is an accomplishment. That
Congrats.
is 2 months, 10 pounds. That's 5 pounds a month.
That's that's more than a pound a week.
Yes.
So that's legit. Okay.
So that is what works for me. I'm
Hmm.
not saying everyone should jump up and get on a 16/8 fast
Yeah.
because what I've learned throughout this journey is that you need to do what works best for you. And what
Yeah.
works best for me might not be what works best for you. What works best for
Hmm.
you won't be what works best for me. And
Yeah.
I've learned a lot through trial and error. Um, and I don't want to say just not eating during that window caused me to lose weight. I think that's what caused me to stop gaining weight.
Okay.
That's what caused me to stop gaining weight. When I really started seeing a weight loss was after I got a hold of my fasting. I ended up pushing it up to 16 hours. But to be honest, I kind of fluctuate between 14 and 16 hours when I fast. I don't do it perfectly every single time.
Yeah.
Um, but after I fast, I make sure in my eating window that I switch one of my meals a day to a salad. So
Hmm.
after I got the hang of my fasting window, I was able to start making changes in other places that caused the weight to fall off
Mm-hmm.
even faster.
Mm.
And I
Okay.
think where a lot of people mess up is trying to do everything at once.
I could see that.
It's like, yeah, I'm going to not eat for 24 hours. And when I do eat, I'm
Mm.
just going to eat salads
Yeah.
and grapes and seeds. It's like, no,
You burn
you can't
out.
go from 0 to 100.
It's
Yes.
not sustainable.
It
Exactly.
is it is not sustainable. You have to
Mm-hmm.
get one part down first, then
Mm-hmm.
move to the next, then try to
Okay.
change something else. And I think that's exactly where we went wrong. Do you guys remember was it the 74 challenge, the 72 challenge? What is it
Oh, like the
called?
75 hard or something?
Yes, the 75
Mm-hmm.
hard challenge. I could not remember that. The
We sound
75
like some
hard
aunties
challenge.
now.
Whatever. Get with it or get lost.
For
The
real.
75-hour challenge is ridiculous because it causes you and it wants you to change so many things at once. There's no way.
Yeah, you're right. Like you can't do that without like losing your mind. It's just too many changes all at once. And I understand it's like the goal is to implement all these things and really become disciplined with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's balance to it. Balance is required. So I think starting off, like you said, with something that it's feasible, just changing a habit at a time definitely works better for some people. I know that kind of works better for me, for sure. So, yes, girl, what else? So, tell us more because I know you did some more research specifically. So tell us about the research you were doing and what you learned.
So I stumbled across, I shouldn't even say stumbled across because I feel like with technology and AI, they know what you're doing and they put things in your path that coincide with what you're doing in
Oh,
the moment in life.
mm-hmm,
So Dr. Mindy Pels, her video
mm-hmm.
was recommended to me, and she's the author of a book called Fast Like a Girl.
Okay.
The reason she named the book Fast Like a Girl is because through her research, she has realized and learned that women should fast differently than men should.
Girl, I 100% agree immediately. I don't even know what's going to be next, but like, I immediately agree because men, their bodies work so differently than ours. And
Yes.
then I hear all the time how and we might get into this at another point, but like I hear all the time how like women are like, oh, me and my husband, we did like a fast at the same time. We stopped eating sweets and we, stopped eating after 7. He lost 10 pounds, I gained 3. It's like, what?
Yes, it's crazy. Our bodies work differently. We
Hmm.
have different hormones, and there is a hormone that women have that does not like fasting, and it's
Okay.
called progesterone. And Dr.
Hmm.
Mindy talks about this in her book. Progesterone is a hormone that supports menstruating and maintaining pregnancy.
Hmm.
Um, and this hormone, it causes you to feel a type of way, like when you're fasting. So
Hmm.
progesterone is probably at its highest, or you're getting more progesterone in your body, I should say, like a week
Hmm.
before your period. And
Ooh,
Dr.
progesterone.
Mindy's,
I'm
yes.
gonna cut in a little bit. That's the
Okay.
enemy.
Okay.
Progesterone is the enemy because like that also has to do with like your PMS symptoms too.
Mm.
It's related. So if you have like a hormone imbalance, you may have like more heightened PMS symptoms, I learned. And one way
Okay.
to like balance that, obviously, I'm not a doctor. One way to balance it though, people have been saying like take vitamin C and make sure that so obviously you just want to get your multivitamins in. But vitamin C
Yes.
specifically, they mentioned helps you with like leveling out progesterone.
Gotcha. So
So,
if your progesterone is too high, it
mm-hmm,
causes those adverse symptoms.
those
And
adverse symptoms, and you
okay.
definitely don't want that. So, but yeah, and apparently it's also impacting what exactly with weight loss?
So basically, our bodies work in cycles, right? So during the
Mm-hmm.
cycle, when progesterone is the highest, you should kind of lay off the fasting. That is what she says.
Really?
Yeah. So I know I know when I am my period's coming, like my body feels it. It's like I
Yes.
know. So when I do that, I'm not as hard on myself when it comes to the fasting.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I fluctuate kind of like between 14 and 16 hours. Like if I
Mm,
wake up
okay.
feeling some type of way one day, I won't be mad at myself if I eat something like an hour and a half earlier than what I'm supposed to. It's like my body is changing. It's doing something
Mm-hmm.
different. Like I don't have to be super strict. I'm doing what feels right. I'm doing what works for me. Working with my body, working with my cycle. And that's very important as a woman because
Mm.
that's kind of a lost art in today's day and age because women
Girl.
are expected to work on such a masculine schedule
Yes.
and do the same things men do, which we can. We are more than capable. We can probably do it better than men can do. But should we?
Should we is the
Sometimes we should have to
question.
ask, should we?
Should
Um,
we? Just
mhm,
yeah. I 100% agree. It's like listening to your body is so important. And I started noticing like I naturally will start eating more around that time. I feel like that's pretty much everybody. But like, and you naturally start picking up like water weight and just really, like you said, giving yourself grace around that time is important. And just knowing your body's resting, your body's in a certain state, but knowing that you're going to get back on it and allowing
mhm,
yourself to go through those cycles, so
yes.
important. Give yourself grace.
Yes, give yourself grace. Allow yourself to go through the cycle. We are cyclical
Hmm.
beings. And
Exactly.
that is something I feel like is lost in today's day and age.
Hmm.
We are getting up and trying to go as hard and do
Ugh,
everything
girl.
like a man does. And we are not them. We are not less than. We are not greater than. Well, anyway, we are not the same.
Yeah.
And so we have to move a little bit differently. That's all that
Hmm.
is. We just have to move a little bit differently.
Right.
And another thing that I learned from Dr. Mindy is how to break a fast. That is something that I'm still working on because I
Mm-hmm.
will break a fast with whatever's most convenient a lot of the time.
For
I'm just being
real.
honest. I'm being
Yes.
authentic. I'm being honest.
You're
Um,
like, no, that's funny because they're like, drink water and do all these, the first thing you put on your stomach is so important.
I know,
But
but I need to take that a little bit more seriously.
mhm,
Because as I said before, Dr. Mindy, she says that during the fast, your body is breaking down all those bad things, the
mhm,
chemicals. But the first thing that you put in your body is going to be what builds the good things in your body. So you
mhm.
can't be like, oh, I can't wait to break my fast with a Sprite or something. I
And
mean,
some
I don't
flaming hot
drink soda.
Cheetos.
Right, some Flamin' Hot Cheetos, some Takis. Oh my gosh. My baby is obsessed with Takis and I never let her eat Takis. I think it's just
Where
I
do they
don't
get
get
this
it.
from? They're
I
like, get the
don't
blue
know.
Takis. What is wrong with these kids?
I don't know. I'm
Is
like,
it
no.
must be a thing. It must be an
It must be on
ongoing
kids' YouTube or
something.
Roblox or something. Listen, I know I sound old.
The roadblocks.
It's the Roblox. But yes, don't break your fast with Takis. And she also goes into detail about different symptoms that you're having. And so let's say
Okay.
that during your fast, you get like super hungry. It's like your fast is almost over and you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
ravenous, like you just want to eat everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then she's like, that's when you need to break your fast with something like avocados or some fats, some nuts,
Oh, that's
because
smart.
that helps to stabilize your blood sugar so you're not feeling
Okay.
like you have to eat everything. That's something that I need to do because that's my
Get
issue.
you some trail
Like
mix. Trail
trail
mix?
mix,
Yeah,
yes.
that's like my go-to so I don't go off on people at work. Trail mix
Okay.
has saved my job so many times because
Yes.
it helps you not be hangry.
Get that blood sugar up. Okay.
Exactly.
But she also says that if you're someone who likes to work out, because a lot of
Mhm.
people who work out say they don't like to fast because they feel like it kind of breaks down their
Okay.
muscles or something like that. But she says in order to combat that, it's important to break your fast with lots of protein.
Okay. So you have
So
options
you have
for
options. I
the
love,
workout girly.
yes, I love that Dr. Mindy has an option for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Fasting is for everyone. Fasting is for men, fasting is for women. But if you want to
Mm-hmm.
fast like a girl, the name of her book, there's so many different ways you can go about it. So that's what I really liked about what I learned from Dr. Mindy.
Okay.
Um, Something I want to mention because this is a question that I get a lot when I talk about intermittent fasting. They're like, when you're fasting, so like, what can you do? Can you drink anything?
Oh,
Can
that's
you?
a good point.
So you, of course, you can drink water, but you can also drink teas. You can drink
Mm-hmm.
coffees, but you have to be careful not to put anything in it. Or if you
Right.
do put something in it, it can't be anything that raises your blood sugar.
Mm.
So you can drink, I usually drink coffee or tea or water. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. One
So
of the
you're drinking
three.
it black?
But I do that regardless. So
Ooh.
that's not a big deal to me.
Ooh, don't play with her. Because I do not drink. I'm scared of you. No, because I can't drink my coffee black like that because my blood sugar, it's like I start getting shaky. It's like I'm too caffeine sensitive. Even though I love
Mm.
coffee, I cannot drink it black for some reason. I have to have something in there.
But but if you add something in it, it doesn't change the caffeine content.
It
It just makes it
doesn't,
like
but
not as harsh.
because like something about, I probably just should not be drinking coffee. I probably shouldn't be drinking coffee, but something about like, especially on an empty stomach, drinking just
Hmm.
straight black coffee with no, because I feel like the sweeteners like level out something. I don't know. I there's there must be a science to it, but I don't know it.
I got you.
I just listen to my body.
Exactly. And that's what you're supposed to do. You do what you're supposed to do.
Come on.
So you can drink coffee, tea, water as long as you're not eating any, as long as you're not adding anything
Mm-hmm.
to it that raises your blood sugar. I know Dr. Mindy said that she adds like raw cow milk to her
Mm,
coffee, like
interesting.
raw cow milk and some oil to her coffee because it has like probiotics and vitamins or something like that. That's
Hmm.
probably not something that I would do, but I'd rather just drink it black. But if you do have an issue with drinking black coffee, there are options.
Okay.
There are options.
All right.
I think Dr. Mandy and I would be really great friends because she was also a vegetarian for like 10 years. And I'm like, so was
Wow.
I, sis.
Wow.
Dr. Mandy,
Wait.
if you're listening to this, hit me up.
Right. You got a friend in me.
You've got a friend in me. Were you going to say something?
I forgot.
No worries. Because I
Hmm.
was going to wrap up everything what I was saying. The
Okay.
main point of everything is you have to figure out what your body needs
Mm-hmm.
specifically in order for your intermittent fasting to be successful.
Okay.
So if that's something you want to do, come on down and we can figure it out together.
Yes, I do have a question because like
Yes.
from my experience, I don't know what it was, but like when I was doing my fasting,
Hmm.
you know what, I didn't I'll add this part. Like I only did like 14 hours of fasting. But I noticed I was bloated more than before.
Mm. Hmm.
So like, do you feel like you noticed a difference when you were doing the 14? Like when you were initially starting out, did you notice any difference like in your body between the 14 to 16?
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
So starting off from the 12, I did not really see much of a difference. When
Mm-hmm.
I got to 14, that's when I started seeing a difference in my mental clarity. But when it
Mm-hmm.
came to like true physical body changes,
Mm-hmm.
I really started to see it when I got to
So like
16 hours,
16.
like 15, 16.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Okay. So you gotta go the extra mile is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not seeing the results you want, then you got to take
Fair.
it a little bit farther.
Okay. Good point.
So, like I said before, what people get wrong when they intermittent fast, it's
Mm.
not listening to your body. You're not listening to what your body needs.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying you can't just try something and be like, oh, intermittent fasting is not for me. I know so
Yeah.
many people who are like, intermittent fasting is not for me, but they
That's
never
what I
stop to
said
think.
because I was bloating, but I didn't do it right. So I definitely got it wrong.
But it's okay because you can get it right. That's why we're
Period.
here.
That's why you're here.
That is why we're here. But that's all that I had for you guys
Mm-hmm.
today. Is there
Love
anything
it.
that you wanted to add?
I don't think so. I feel like you answered my main question, which was going the extra mile. But I thought this was definitely a good topic to go over because especially with it being spring and being, still early in the year, people are still trying to get their bodies right. They're trying to get summertime fine. So,
Yes.
and taking care of your health overall, not just like getting fine, but like taking care of your health is so important to everybody right now. So,
I kind of touched on it a little bit, but I do want to say a bit more about the mental clarity that intermittent fasting gave me. I don't feel like I
okay.
touched on it enough because I started it because of weight loss. Yes, I wanted to lose weight. But while on my journey, I feel like it provided so much discipline when it came
Mm-hmm.
to what I was putting in my body. When I was
Mm,
putting it in my body, it caused me to take a deeper dive into what I was putting in my body. So
yeah.
I think that was a huge positive of intermittent fasting.
Yeah, that it helped you with some of the discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I think that yeah, that's definitely important because once you start, because it's like a slippery slope, you can easily go down a path. Like once you allow a few things in, next thing you know, you're down a path. So I feel like that fasting, you telling yourself you're going to do something every day and sticking to it definitely helps you with discipline. So
Yeah,
good for
it
you.
causes you to listen. It's
Hmm.
it's not even something that you're doing consciously a lot of the time. I feel like intermittent
Mm.
fasting unconsciously causes you to listen to your body,
Mm.
or it makes your body louder. It's like I wasn't even trying to listen to my body, but it's like, oh, once I started intermittent fasting, my body would let me know that it wasn't for me.
Okay.
So one time I tried to break my fast with like a piece of cake. I think it was like a cupcake or something like after a party that I had. So I had some leftover cupcakes. And
Okay.
so I broke a fast one day
Hmm.
with a cupcake and my body was immediately like, girl, what? Like my stomach started hurting like immediately. He was
No,
like, don't do that again. Do not.
I had a similar experience and it was literally with a cupcake. That's hilarious. I tried, but it was like technically I was breaking my fast because I ate a cupcake for breakfast. Why would I do
Yeah.
that? Girl, it was terrible. I was
It's
like,
like,
oh, I'm 30. 31 to be exact. Can't play these games no more.
yeah,
But yeah.
cannot play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Come on.
But I also wanted to mention that evolutionary, is that even a word? Look at me trying to speak and I don't even know what I'm talking about.
I was following.
Evolutionarily, but speaking to our evolution as human beings,
Hmm.
our ancestors were only able to eat intermittently. So it is something that connects us to our ancestors. It is something that happens
That's
naturally. It's natural for us to
hmm.
intermittent fast. So we think we're doing something special. Oh, I'm intermittent fasting, but your body
Hmm.
takes to it. It works so well because it's something that we're supposed to be doing anyway. We're not supposed to have
Mm.
access to all this food all the time.
Right.
I feel like as I keep talking and we get to the end of the podcast, I keep finding things that I want to say. So I hope you
We can
guys are
go
listening to the
forever.
very end because I feel like I dropped some interesting information.
It's like if they heard you, they're here now.
Exactly. You're right. You're right. You're right. If you didn't, I'm like, if you didn't listen, sucks for you, but they're going to
Shame on
hear it
you.
anyway because they didn't listen.
Shame on you. Yeah, go tell them.
Tell them. Tell them in the comments.
Yeah.
What should they say? They should
Wait
say, I
until the
have.
end. Watch
Yeah,
until the
you're right.
end.
Watch until the end. hashtag watching to the end. So if
Mhm.
you listen to the end of this podcast, please comment on our YouTube, on our podcast page, whatever. Put hashtag watch until the end.
I love it. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
And we
That's a
could sit
wrap
here
up.
and talk to you guys all night, but we're tired and we gotta go.
For real. For real. So yes, bye guys.